son on the way.
Wow.
King's about to have a son.
King's about to have a son. Congrats.
Yeah. And I told him I'm going to make this the greatest gangster of all time. I will raise this child to torture you the way that you tortured me. I promise you, there will be an indictment in this young one.
T.I. and Tiny's household, and the drama is thicker than ever. Word on the street is that King Harris's girlfriend, who goes with the name Big Nana, has been stirring up chaos behind closed doors. The whispers are wild. She's accused of emotionally playing with King's head for months, using trickery to trap him into fatherhood. People are already calling it a baby trap, stating that she purposely became pregnant to lock herself into the Harris legacy, with her gaze fixated on the family's renown and fortune. But here's the twist. T.I. is not the type to let anybody slide in and secure a bag by tricks and games. From the very beginning, he made it evident that something about Nana didn't sit right with him. T.I. warned his son that this relationship was headed straight for disaster, pointing out how Nana seemed more into the lifestyle and money than genuine love.
That's why he want to be over there. Y'all ready? Because he can suck and pacify over there. He was 12 years old. He was suck and pacify till he was 12 years old. He didn't do that in the house. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
They trying to say I was over there trying to suck a passy, but they ain't gonna tell you everything like that.
According to him, the mansion life wasn't as permanent as it looked. But then another terrible detail came out. He claimed he only ever visited T.I. while it came time to film episodes of Family Hustle. Once the camera stopped rolling, he went directly back to his grandma's place. And it wasn't simply King feeling neglected. It turns out none of T.I.'s kids actually lived with him full-time. Zanique even admitted she stayed with Tiny's parents, saying that T.I. and Tiny were always on the road, traveling and doing their own thing. Fans couldn't believe it. How could one of the most high-profile families in hip-hop have so much space between parent and child? Money may buy expensive cars and houses, but it can't purchase presents. And the Harris kids felt that absence in their own manner. But even with the absence, T.I. constantly attempted to guide his kids with words and cautions. And in King's case, the cautions were all about Big Nana. From the outset, he told King she wasn't in it for love, but for what she could gain. And when Nana ended up pregnant, it only fueled suspicions that she was striving to solidify her place permanently. Sources close to King confessed she freely believed having his baby would make her famous, secure her a bag, and bind her to the Harris name forever. Behind the scenes, individuals whispered that she was manipulating King toward pulling away from his parents, keeping him under her influence. T.I. wasn't having it. He straight up slammed Nana for taking advantage of his son, accusing her of manipulating her age and experience to reel King in while he was still too young and ignorant to see the bigger image. But T.I., being T.I., he didn't just stop at accusations. He provided a strong message. She wasn't going to finesse her way into the Harris bank accounts. He informed her plainly that he would not be financially accountable for her or the baby, and that everything would fall on King's shoulders. If she was serious about developing a future with King, she'd have to face that truth with him, not with his father's safety net. That warning set the groundwork for a serious confrontation inside the Harris household, and admirers everywhere had lots to say about it. Some thought T.I. was being harsh, but others claimed he was only attempting to protect his son from a lifetime of blunders. After all, T.I. knows firsthand how easily one wrong move can derail your entire life and career. The situation between King Harris and Big Nana only grown more complicated as the pregnancy became public knowledge. Suddenly, everybody had something to say about the young couple, and the spotlight was brighter than ever. For King, who's been attempting to carve out his own space in rap, this was intended to be a time to focus on music and grind for respect. But instead of delivering music that could place him on the map, he was trending for baby mother drama and family feuds. And in hip-hop, where perception can make or break your career, that type of attention hits hard. Fans started clowning him, stating he was more focused about clout than bars. And others even joked that his biggest feature was his dad stepping in to lecture him instead of another rapper hopping on his track. It's messy, and in a manner, King's circumstances started to overshadow any true potential he had to prove himself. And let's not forget, King and T.I.'s relationship was already on shaky ground before this baby news even plummeted. That public argument where King roared, "I stand on business," in front of thousands of viewers left a persistent stain. Fans weren't impressed. They believed it looked more like a kid trying too hard to play gangsta than someone truly standing on principles. T.I., on the other hand, wasn't going to let his son humiliate the family legacy without a struggle. That's when the headlock scene went viral, and individuals were eager to select sides. Some thought T.I. was shaming his son, but others felt like that was a much-needed reality check. Either way, the dynamic was clear. King sought independence, but T.I. wasn't about to let him run free without consequences. Now, fast forward to the pregnancy drama, and it's like the ideal storm. T.I. has seen this story play out too many times in the industry. Youthful artists blinded by love or passion, making decisions that impact their entire future. He's been warning King that Big Nana isn't truly about him. And when word got out that she was significantly aged, the criticism hit another level. Fans started questioning how someone with that age gap may potentially get muddled up with King in the first place. Insiders whispered that she had a strategy all along, and being pregnant was her means of solidifying her spot. But T.I. wasn't letting that story continue unchecked. He made it quite obvious that his money and his empire were off limits. King would have to discover firsthand what it meant to step into fatherhood, pay bills, and deal with responsibilities. And this is where it goes more deeper since King's whole hood bringing up tale got ripped back into the spotlight. For months, King tried to build his image as the youngster who came from nothing, laboring like every other rapper who came up in tough neighborhoods. But fans weren't buying it. They pointed out the homes, the affluent lifestyle, and the fact that his dad is one of the most successful rappers and businessmen in hip-hop. To many, it looked like King was creating a phony, difficulty story simply to gain credibility in the rap game. But then came his confession. He genuinely did spend a lot of his time growing up there his grandma's house in the hood. He admitted that he only saw his parents when the cameras were rolling for Family Hustle, and once filming was done, he was back at his grandma's spot. That revelation caught everybody off guard because it explained why King often acted like he had something to prove. But still, fans weren't totally convinced. They reminded him that even if he stayed in the hood part-time, he always had access to money, opportunity, and resources that most kids could only dream of. It wasn't the same type of struggle, and pretending differently rubbed people the wrong way. And now, with Big Nana in the picture, fans felt he felt deeper into a cycle of trying to prove something that wasn't real. Some said Nana saw right through his need to rebel and used it to her advantage, feeding into his ego while directing him away from T.I.'s guidance. That's why they believe she urged him to disassociate himself from his parents, to rip off their safety net and keep him under her grasp. But T.I. wasn't playing. He clapped back by letting everyone know he wasn't going to be accountable for Nana, the baby, or any of the drama. According to insiders, T.I. straight up told King that if he wanted to be mature, then he needed to manage big guy responsibilities. And that stung deeply because suddenly, King couldn't lean on his dad's fortune anymore. The "you're on your own" message shocked admirers who pointed out the irony. King once said he didn't even want his dad in his life, and now he was stuck having to live up to that statement. People on social media didn't hold back either. They dragged him, saying things like, "Remember when you say T.I. wasn't your dad? Well, now figure out how you're going to raise a baby without T.I.'s pockets." This scandal also triggered a broader conversation about hip-hop families and whether wealth actually benefits or harms kids growing up in the attention. Some admirers felt that kids of celebrities often feel pressure to prove themselves, which can backfire when they try to force a picture that doesn't line up with reality. King's attempt to paint himself as a struggling slum child while living in luxury was the perfect example, and people saw right through it. Others felt like T.I. and Tiny had some responsibility too, since their kids say they often weren't around. While T.I. was busy creating enterprises and keeping relevant in the industry, his kids were leaning on grandma and other family members for everyday support. That absence created gaps, and King's rebellious streak may be the result. But the heart of the drama always circles back to Big Nana. Sources claim she's been feeding King dreams about building a family empire, but insiders aren't convinced. They say she wanted fame, money, and the Harris name tied to her brand. And now with the pregnancy, she's closer than ever to attaining that goal. T.I. isn't afraid to call her out, and he made sure she knew she wasn't sliding into the Harris bank accounts without a fight. He's putting the weight squarely on King, forcing him to figure out his own path as a father without leaning on daddy's fortune. And while some fans think T.I. is being overly harsh, others feel he's doing the only item that might genuinely teach King responsibility. By the time this whole scenario hit social media, the Harris family drama had grown into full-blown entertainment for fans and gossip blogs alike. Every action King made was picked apart. Every comment Nana posted was analyzed, and every word T.I. uttered became a headline. The story split right down the middle. Some folks believed King was being manipulated, but others thought he knew exactly what he was doing and was simply too obstinate to acknowledge his mistakes. Either way, one thing was absolutely clear. King had backed himself into a corner, and the only way out was through. For someone so young being caught up in family conflict, career pressures, and now fatherhood, it's a storm that could either build him or break him. But King's personality has always tended toward defiance. That's what makes this so messy. Instead of slowing down to think about the bigger picture, he often reacts in the moment, trying to prove he's grown. Whether it's yelling at games, going live during fights, or clapping back at critics online, he seems to care more about proving he's real than showing he's ready for responsibility. And Big Nana, sources believe she knows just how to play into that ego, keeping him entangled around her finger while feeding his distance from T.I. People close to the family even hinted that she's been whispering in his ear, convincing him that T.I. doesn't have his back and that he's better off starting a new life away from his parents. If true,